Hi everyone, I'm Marla and I'm gonna take you step by step on how to make a beef Wellington. The first step that we are starting with is gonna be the duxelle. For that, you're gonna need mushrooms, shallots, and garlic. You can chop up the mushrooms as fine as possible, or you can also put it in a food processor. I also set aside a small plate of fresh thyme, salt, and black pepper, so it's easier to put in when I'm starting to cook. I have a large pan on medium heat and I put in 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm just gonna rub it in so that it can spread evenly. Now I put in the shallots and garlic first. You're gonna wanna cook them until it's a little bit translucent. Make sure you don't overcook it before putting in the mushrooms. Once you have that started, you can add in your seasonings and go ahead and mix it around. Make sure everything is getting cooked evenly. This process doesn't take a long time. You just want to make sure you keep an eye on it. You don't want the mushrooms to be too crispy, but you want to make sure that you cook all the water and moisture out of them. Once done, spread it on a pan and put it in the fridge. This is my beef tenderloin. I let it sit in the fridge, already salted for about 5 hours. In this step, I'm just adding some more salt before searing all sides of it. I have the pan on a medium-high heat, and I'm gonna apply the beef right into the middle of it. You wanna wait until it gets a little bit seared on all sides. You don't wanna overcook it because you still have to cook it in the oven later. A gold sear on each side is perfect. Not too much, not too little, and it gets the job done. The next step is to apply some Dijon mustard all around it as soon as it gets off the pan. Once you've finished coating the beef tenderloin, you can go ahead and put it back in the fridge. I left mine in there for about 15 to 20 minutes. You just want it to cool down. I'm putting a small layer of prosciutto, just enough to wrap all around it. Doesn't have to be too thick, but this is preference. Next, I'm applying the duxelle onto the prosciutto. Spread it around evenly so it has a nice layer. I boiled some spinach until it barely wilted. I put it onto the parchment paper and used a rolling pin to try and get out as much moisture as possible. After that, I just dabbed it a few times with a paper towel. Once you finish that step, you can put the beef tenderloin into the middle and start rolling. For this process, you want to try and make it as tight as possible. You can use whatever technique works best for you or seems easiest. For me, I noticed that rolling it and then afterwards tucking in the corners of it worked really well for me. I'm adding extra plastic wrap for comfort. You just want to make sure it's fully sealed so that it can stay in the exact shape that it is now. When you're done fully sealing it, you're gonna put it back into the fridge for about 20 minutes. Now I'm getting my puff pastry ready. I'm just gonna be putting it onto the counter and getting it ready for when I'm ready to roll. You want to make sure the puff pastry is the perfect size to wrap all the way around the beef tenderloin. If yours is a little short like mine, you'll just apply the other puff pastry and you're going to press into it. And for me, I'm just going to roll over it again for comfort. Once the beef tenderloin has cooled for a while, you're going to go ahead and apply it into the puff pastry and start rolling again. You can use whatever technique you think is best. For me, I thought this would look prettier. I just tucked in the sides, and then I'm gonna cut off the excess that it has. As long as it's fully sealed and covered, you'll be fine. Next, I'm gonna be putting some egg wash in between the seal so it sticks properly. Coat the pastry with egg wash. This is what makes it golden. And it also allows for the second layer to stick properly. For that second layer, all I did was use a knife and made even cuts all the way down it. Again, tuck it to your best ability, make it look pretty, and then cut off the excess. For this part, I'm just putting some rosemary into the little cracks. I definitely recommend it because the prettier the better. When you're done with the egg wash and sealing it, you're going to go ahead and wrap it up again in the plastic wrap. Cover it as much as possible, and then it goes back into the fridge. After putting it into the fridge for about 20 minutes, you're going to get your oven ready at a temp of 425. I put my Wellington onto a rack in the oven. You're good to just put it onto a sheet as well. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes to cook. I used a thermometer, and I took it out at a temp of 125, medium rare. Let it sit out for about 10 minutes before you cut it. And that is all the steps it takes to get the perfect, crispy beef Wellington.
Perfect.
Feel free to ask any questions and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.